So when I start to tell people my story, I kind of focus on my husband because he was the one who was like who was closest to me and like just doing the absolute most to like take my life in the most obvious ways and just acting really like crazy and emotional and mean and physically abusing me and everything else, like clearly trying to break me. But here's the thing. So when I tell people, they're like, oh, your husband's a narcissist, absolutely, or a psychopath. I don't know. Something in the dark triad, yes, yes, yes. And when I say narcissist, I mean the worst kind. I mean a malignant narcissist who is sadistic and literally gets joy out of hurting people, yes, or he's a psychopath. He's something in the dark triad. I don't know. He's very, very, very scary, very, very, very evil. But, it's a classic story of a narcissist running like a smear campaign and infiltrating your family and friends because that's common, especially like, abusers. They want everybody to side with you or side with them. They don't want you to have any support. They want you to be isolated. Yes, all of that. And yes, he infiltrated my, co-workers. He infiltrated people I thought were my friends. He infiltrated everybody and spread horrible lies and ran a smear campaign. Yes. But my family, here's why I say I actually don't believe that anymore. Because I used to. Like, at first, I'm like, oh my God, Rob has convinced my family to, like, turn on me and all these things, right? What if it's the other way around? What if Rob is a honey trap that was put in my life intentionally? And it's not him who started this. What if it's my parents, my mom, who started this? I am convinced that is how all of this actually works. And let me explain to you why I think this. So, when it was like, you see these moms who like offer women or whatever money to like not marry their sons, like to leave them. My mom did that to my sister. Back when my sister was about to get married, my mom wrote a letter to her fiance. She didn't like him, and she offered him money not to marry my sister. Who does that? Who does that? He was a decent person and actually told my sister and didn't take the money, and my mom of course like hated him forever and they just like had beef forever. They're divorced now. And even then, like, my mom laughed about lying in court, like custody court. She went to help my sister and like laughed about how she lied in court. So yeah. So what if it was the opposite for me? Because again, if you watched like my first video where I kind of give you the backstory of me and Rob, you'll know that I got pregnant at 18. Rob literally like did not even talk to me my whole pregnancy. Like, he was not there at all. After I had my son, he like came around, said he wanted to be a family. We got engaged when I think had my second son 2 years later. Then we got married. And it was very like sudden how he wanted to be with me and all these things, right? But what if instead of the letter to take money not to marry me, if my mom is trying to break me, she's gonna want me to never experience real love. She's not gonna want me to be with somebody who's gonna treat me right. She's gonna want me to be with somebody who's gonna abuse me, somebody who's going to be unfaithful. She's going to want me to not have any confidence, not have any self-love. She's going to want me to be depressed all the time. So what if she wrote a letter to him saying, hey, I'll pay you if you marry her? Because again, this man's already married to somebody else. Marilyn Hester, he went to high school with and they went in the military with and everything else. I didn't know about, of course, till now. 20 years later. But wouldn't it be interesting if he was literally put in my life to do exactly what he did to me, which was abuse me and hurt me. And my parents knew that he was hurting me and abusing me. Like I talked about, he got arrested several times for DV. We always lived in different states because my job had us relocating all the time. But like there were a couple of those times like he would get out of jail and move back to Virginia. He didn't move back to his family's house. He moved to my family's house. Can you imagine your daughter's husband physically abusing her, going to jail, getting out, and you're like, come stay with us? That happened more than once too. It happened like 2 or 3 times. Can you imagine your daughter being 8 months pregnant with her 3rd kid, with her abusive husband who is always cheating, and she says she wants to leave him because during this pregnancy, she caught him talking to other women. She caught him literally saying word for word the same things he says to her in an email to another woman. And she's like, I don't want to have another baby with him. I want to leave. And then what do? That Christmas when they come to visit, you call her a bad mom for wanting to leave her husband because he's cheating while she's pregnant. Because that's what happened to me. My dad did that to me. He told me I was a bad mom because I wanted to leave my husband because he was cheating while I was pregnant. So this wasn't like, oh, Rob just, turned Kalisha's parents against her. No, Kalisha's parents liked what Rob was doing. And I have a half brother that I never had a relationship with, didn't even find out about him until I was like 8 or 9. He was in prison my whole life. He got out a couple years ago, and my family decided to like have him move to Virginia and like right down the street, my parents' rental property, and like involve him in our lives. So like I don't know him at all, but I'm like trying to get to know him. And of course Rob's like infiltrated that. And Rob, after I left him, so on Thanksgiving, I spent Thanksgiving with my brother. He had it at his house. And he like pulls me outside. He's like, oh my God, I wanted to tell you, this is 2024. Again, 2025 is when it all got crazy. Thanksgiving 2024, I had already left Rob. But again, he was buying me presents, thinking I was coming back, thinking it was like every other time. And my brother's like, listen, Rob like wanted to go out with me. Like we went to play golf and he like talked about you like a dog the whole time. He said you don't take care of the kids. He said he does everything. He said you're crazy. He's so calm and nice. You cheat on him all the time. All these like disgusting, horrific lies, just disgusting. But then he said like, oh yeah, he even said that your dad, like our dad, me and my brother's dad, tells Rob to cheat on you. And Rob had said stuff like that about my family, like, oh, they all say you're crazy. They all say I should leave you and save myself. And I had just taken it as like Rob talking shit and like trying to separate me from my parents and my family because he's into isolation and, making sure that I think that everybody hates me, like he hates me, that everybody hates me. So I was just like, whatever, and of course my parents would be like, no, we would never say anything like that about you. It was true. My dad was definitely telling him to cheat on me. I 100% believe that. So, yeah. And so one might ask, and I'm still like, this is all just me throwing stuff out there because it doesn't make sense that Rob started this and was able to turn my whole family, so much so that my parents were willing to give my son $100,000 to lie about me. Talked about that in a previous video, how my 18-year-old like told me my parents were giving him $100,000 for graduation. They don't have money like that. They're retired military, retired government. They don't have $100,000 and they got like 6 grandkids. So what, you got $600,000 laying around because you're not going to give one grandkid $100,000 and not give the other ones. If that doesn't make sense, that would make sense. So Rob wasn't able to turn them around. Rob wasn't able to get my mom and my sister to lie about me having like a mental illness. and try to paint me as mentally unstable. He didn't do all that. My family started this, and Rob was just the honey trap to break me, to be close to me, keep an eye on me, keep tabs on me, keep me down, keep me depressed. So you might ask, and this part I haven't uncovered, here's my theory. So years and years ago, close to like 20 years ago, I remember my mom calling Rob and I talking about like unclaimed property. And she was like, oh, Rob, you have unclaimed property. And so it's like, that's kind of weird that you were looking all of us up to see if anybody has unclaimed property. That's weird. Like, do that for yourself, but why are you looking at all of us and our like spouses to see if we have unclaimed property? I don't know what it could possibly be, but do I think that there's a reason that they have been trying to get me like diagnosed with all these mental illnesses and like create a paper trail of Kalisha being mentally ill? I absolutely do. I dealt with depression when I was 18, basically up until last year. I had really bad depression. I was bullied a lot in high school, outcast, whatever. So like even when I was 19, 20, they like my parents took me to the doctor and were like, we think she's bipolar, and like got me diagnosed as bipolar. And for the longest time, I thought I was bipolar. Turns out I'm not. But when I got my diagnosis, because of course my parents are the one who are like saying I'm doing all these things, and I'm not gonna like disagree with my parents. I'm like 18, 19, I don't really know. And they really wanted me to have this diagnosis. And then after that, my dad was like, you're so crazy, like you probably can't even work. And remember we talked about how my mom told me to take time off work because like I was dealing with Rob's antics and I was in the middle of moving and I was like suffering PTSD from being abused for 18 years, and I'm focused on healing, and you know I have a very intensive job, and then turned around 2 weeks later and told the doctors and the police that I was so mentally ill that I stopped working. So isn't it funny that 20 years later that same story comes up? So my dad, when I was like graduating college, was like, you shouldn't even try to get a job. You should just like get Social Security or something. You should get like disability because you're so crazy you can't work. And I'm like, I just graduated a semester early with a 3.75 GPA while I had 2 kids. I think I could probably and I did internships and worked part-time. I think I could manage a job, and then I have this super successful career. So he was wrong, but he tried really, really, really hard to convince me not to get a job and just go on disability. But what if that's because they wanted to document that I couldn't take care of myself? That maybe I needed somebody to have like power of attorney over me. Look at Wendy Williams, look at Britney Spears. People want them to be under these conservatorships and power of attorneys. So what if there really was unclaimed property? I don't know what it could possibly be that I didn't know about, since my mom was searching for me, because I was around 18 when that happened. Or maybe older than that, maybe like 20. Wouldn't it make sense that you want all this documentation that I'm mentally ill and I can't even work, so I need somebody to have power of attorney over me? And then remember I talked about in another video how when I went to the mental hospital after my husband, who had a protective order against, petitioned and said that I was talking crazy, though we hadn't talked in months, and needed to go for a 72-hour hold. And they're like, oh, but you're an alcoholic and you had to stay at the hospital because you were like sick from alcohol, and that never happened. But when I had moved back into my house after my husband finally moved out, like I saw in his closet that he had taken my old wallet out. I don't know where he found it, from like 5 years ago, and my medical insurance card from like 5 years ago was laying out next to my wallet. So he had clearly had somebody go in and change my medical records. Why would you do that? Because if you were running with the narrative like she's mentally ill and she's an alcoholic to my friends and, coworkers. You already did that and it already worked because they already turned their backs on me months ago. So why do you need to go and fake medical records? Oh, could it be because you wanted proof that I'm this train wreck who cannot be alone, he wrote on our custody papers, I'm incompetent. What if you were in court for something else saying I was incompetent and needed a power of attorney or a conservatorship? And I talked about all these fake businesses that my parents have. So they have a cleaning company that has no contracts, no paid employees, that they're moving $10,000 when they have no expenses. My husband has 2 companies that I never knew about. One is a real estate company. I can promise you he knows nothing about real estate. I've owned 5 houses and I bought him a house. So he does own a house technically now. I did everything for that. I put the down payment on, paid off his debt so he could qualify to get the house. I did all the terms of the house, and because we just got that house in 2025, interest rates are higher. I did a 2-1 rate buy down, which means your rate is bought down 2%, 2 full percentage points the first year, and then 1 full percentage point the second year, and then goes back to normal. Thinking okay, we can refinance. Hopefully the rates will go down quite a bit within 2 years. Rob knows that. I told Rob I did a 2-1 rate buy down. So the interest rate that he's paying in that first year is 2 full percentage points lower than what it should be. The interest rate drops 0.1%, and Rob's I'm going to refinance the house and get my payment lower. And I'm do you not understand that you're under a 2-1 rate buy down? So if you have a real estate holding company, that means you understand real estate and you're buying real estate. It's fake. It's fake. The logistics company, fake. I did talk about how his cousin is a street pharmacist, a huge one, who moves things he's not supposed to be moving across the country. And Rob had told me different ways he was doing it, hiding it in coffee cans and huge 18-wheelers and stuff like that. So maybe he did have a logistics company so it would look legit when he was moving stuff for his cousin he shouldn't have been moving. That's the only thing I can think of. But they're definitely moving money with those businesses. That's the only reason they're there, so they're not getting flagged for large fund transfers personally. So those businesses are a front for something. Maybe it's for his cousin, the street pharmacist. It could be for that too. But I absolutely think that there's something that I don't know about, that my parents probably have me under a power of attorney or something like that. I know it sounds crazy, but there's no other reason that they're trying to get all this documentation that I'm this crazy alcoholic and all these other things. It doesn't make sense.